Today I'm going to be doing the final drive oil change, as well as dropping this final drive down and then withdrawing the shaft and making sure that the splines on both ends are lubricated, and also that the universal joints are in good shape. This is for the 60,000 mile service, so this is one of the first jobs that I'm going to be tackling. Today is a nice day out, so I can work in my garage, and I'll be getting that done. It wouldn't really be a step-by-step on this because I've covered this in my previous video. The steps are essentially going to be the same. I'll probably resume this when I get closer to pulling the final drive out. But I've got a separate video for changing the final drive oil. That's a straightforward job. I'll get that done first, because when I tip this down and I have the speed sensor out, it'll want to leak out through the hole. So you got to get that final drive oil removed first. So I'll get that done. Then I'll remove the wheel, most likely remove the exhaust as well, and then start taking this apart and seeing how we go from there. Well, as you can see, the back wheel is off, the exhaust is off, and the brakes have been displaced and are tied up nicely up there with that twist tie that I've got. And we're ready to check the position of the shaft. You want it so that the thing is able to, you know, rotate downwards. So this is the first time that I'm going to be displacing this gator here from the housing. Let's see how good it is. You can see the condition there. Remember last time, maybe you remembered, but I did smear all kinds of grease there. So it's no glue, there's no sticking. There's no sticking there by any adhesive at all. Now, we look at that and you can see the pin of that universal joint is pretty much horizontal. I've got the bike in neutral, and I can rotate the disc, the rear disc there, and I can make sure that that's in the right orientation. You want it like that so that it can hinge downwards when you drop the final drive. One thing I wanted to show you before I started was, look at this. Can you see that tiny movement there? It shows that the aft spline is not fused onto the well, I should say the aft end of the drive shaft is not fused onto the aft spline on the final drive. So that's a good sign. So when I undo this bolt here, this one here, I should be able to free up the thing quite nicely. So what I want to do is hold this back as I drop that down. Just to make sure that it doesn't come out, because if you remember from last time, it pulled the whole, the whole shaft wanted to come. It wanted to loosen from the front end, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to do my darndest to hold this back while I drop the final drive. But I think it should slip right out, because it looks like it's freed up at this end. I've got this screwdriver in there, tied back with the bungee cord to my crash bar, not with too much tension, but that there, I don't know if you can see it, but it's wedged in there, and it's designed, or is intended to hold this shaft from sliding forward or sliding backwards this way. So I've got it pried, I've got it kind of like holding it back. I've got my jack barely holding this disc up, and I'm going to pull this and then start the process of lowering down. Hopefully we don't have any galling in it. Can you see that? This Sony hopefully can focus on that, but that is the condition of the bolts, of the bolt. That is all Loctite. I'm gonna have to clean that up, but the threads are in perfect condition. So all of that squealing when I was undoing this bolt was all the Loctite complaining. Now I'm gonna have to let the pressure out of my hydraulic jack slowly as I hopefully, I don't know, maybe I'll use my hold the disc up at the same time. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Yeah, and the shaft is staying. See, the shaft is staying. Oh. That's as far as it'll go on the jack. I don't know. Hopefully you can see all of this. I get my jack out of the way. Jack is out of the way. I'm holding this up and I'm holding the shaft back. I hope. Oh no, the shaft wants to come. So guys, let me zoom in. That's the orientation that you want this universal joint in. You want this one here in the horizontal position, right? This one, not this one, okay? If you have this one in the horizontal position like that, then it'll be harder for it to come out. You want the shaft to be in this position, okay? So it's easier to show it with it apart. You want this one to be flexing downwards like that. So here we go. All right, let me change the angle and you can see the boot, the condition of the boot, and also the condition of the spline. All right, so you can see it looks like the spline is in pretty good condition. I don't see any rust here. Well, of course, after I move the camera out to the way, I'm going to have a good close inspection, but I think that final drive spline looks pretty darn good. So I'm going to be putting more of that goop on there, clean it up a little bit first, and then apply more lubrication. So now we're going to be pulling this shaft out, and hopefully I can get it all out. This is going to be the point of no return for this job. I want to see and inspect the front spline as well, and I want to put the clip on. I bought a clip. Remember I mentioned in the last video that it didn't come with the clip, a circlip on the front end. I'm going to put it on now so that next time this isn't going to want to come out when I'm dropping the final drive. So I'm going to withdraw this out now. Hopefully I can get it all out in one piece. Last time I didn't take this gator off from this side. I left it on. I'm hoping that I can get this shaft in, back in and out without removing this. This final drive isn't going to flop down any more than it is right now, so let's see. Oh, it held on. Look what I got. All right, let's go to the workbench and inspect this a little bit better. But right now I can tell you this thing looks perfect. Just looking at, I don't know, you can't see it so good there, but I'm going to do some better shots. But this looks perfect. This is why I'm taking this shaft out, so that I can check for any notchiness, check the condition of this part here, because whenever it fails, it usually fails here. You can see this is the thinnest part of this yoke connection here, and this part is where you can get failure right across there, and then this comes out and all of that. Similarly with this. So you want to make sure that you don't feel any kind of notchiness or any free play. And this is very smooth in this direction. So this is the aft end, this is the final drive end. You move it from side to side, you don't feel anything. And this is well lubricated. I don't know if you can see this. My lighting is a crap here. But right in there, there's some kind of a it looks like a rubber type washers there. I don't know, but they're in good condition, and this is in really good working order. This is the front end here. Again, checking this movement this way, very smooth. The clacking that you hear is this hitting this, okay? So very, very smooth and nice, and this very smooth. So this shaft is in good condition. You can see there's no problems, no rust or anything on this. I think, I can't remember correctly, but last time I think I greased all of this here. There is no greasing you can put here. These are all sealed, okay? These are sealed, so you can't really grease that. So the only thing I can do is lubricate the teeth on these in way of the splines. But again, the lighting is crap, but take it from me, you know, these, there is not a spot of rust in there. This is the final drive end. There's no rust there. And this is even the cleaner end, which is the transmission end. And this is exactly as I left it, except, well, most of the goop is gone, right? But there's no rust there. There is the final drive spline. See if we can rotate that. As you can see, no rust. Pretty much how I left it. There's the boot. This is all going to be cleaned up. We've got to clean that all off and put some more of that goop on there so that it seals as best as possible to here. But this is all that holds it on, okay? This clip, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 clips here. And those clips snap into the inside of this hole. So this is not a watertight connection. This is a weather-tight connection for splashes. But this is not going to hold any water if you go fully submerged. This will be good for like washing the bike. And oh, that reminds me. Let's check out the inside of my shaft housing. Again, the lighting is crap. But as you can see, it looks pretty darn dry in there. Okay? And I power wash this bike. As you know, I foam it sometimes with my power washer. Some people say, oh, don't do that because the water is going to go all over the place. I'm trying to get a good angle here for you. But you can see there's no water in there, okay? And that's looking all the way up into the tunnel. There's no water, there's no rust, there's no nothing in there, it's dry. Here's the front end. Again, these things are held on by clips. You can see the clips here, right? The clips clip onto the hole, and this is actually tighter to get out than the rear end. But again, very dry conditions here. There's my front spline. As you can see, it's in good condition. There's the groove for that clip. I don't understand. I still can't understand why I didn't get a clip installed at the factory. But last time I removed this thing here, there was no clip. So I bought a clip. Okay, this is the snap ring. They call it a snap ring. I got it from A&S Motorcycle Parts in California. They're pretty good actually for parts. And this is the snap ring that goes on the end of that shaft. Well, it so turns out that this thing was very easy to put on because of that beveled end to the shaft. You just put it in place and you blind fit it with your fingers stuck in there. You can't see what you're doing because you're holding this thing back, but you push it on little by little, and then it's amazing, but you can actually rotate this. I don't know if you can see. I can actually rotate that with my fingers. It's not so easy to do it with my fingertips, but the point is I can rotate that as I'm putting on that split clip, that circlip there. And so it's on. So now we're gonna just grease up everything. Grease up this spline here. Grease up this spline here. Grease up the 2 ends. And then stick the shaft back in this housing. Recall from the last time, this is the stuff that I use. Molybdenum disulfide paste. So molybdenum alloy paste. I don't know if they still sell this, but this is what you use for your splines. Yeah, I'm gonna smear this on, probably use my finger. Well, the front splines are lubed as best as I can get it. It's pretty much lubed all the way around. I used a little a screwdriver to turn that front spline, taking care not to, of course, damage the teeth. But if the teeth are going to be that easily damaged, then these parts are a piece of crap, right? So this one's much easier to lubricate. So they're all nicely coated all the way around. I'm gonna just smear my stuff on that. I'll do that after though, because I think that the next job is to go and push this back in. As you can see, I've got a couple of flat bungee cords here strapped pulling to pull these the gator apart, because I'm gonna start I'm gonna have to start fighting with this thing here to get it into place. Once I get it on the tip of that, then I'm told that I need to line up the shaft and give it a little tap on the back, but I can't see how I'm gonna have access to do that with this thing in the way, and I really don't want to take that off. It looks like it's a pain in the ass to come out. So I'll see if I can position this in the front here and then give it a tap with the mallet at the back and see what happens. If not, I'll just have to pull that split ring back off. Well, just like last time, I've got to tie a string on to the front end here. A piece of string, pass it through and out through this side. And that's to help me line up the front on the spline here, to help line it up, because it doesn't help that this is an articulating joint. You know, you're trying to push it on from the back end and it wants to flop all over the place. So using a screwdriver, and I've got this rag here to kind of pry against and to ease it on. I just need to line it up and then I'll push it on. That's what I had to do last time. It takes a bit of fighting, but that's what's needed. Guess what? I had to take the split ring back out. There's no way that I was going to be able to fight and get this thing on and hammer it in from this end. I just was fighting and fighting and fighting, trying to get it there with the split ring in place. As soon as I took the split ring back out, I was able to line this up and it slid right on. Very, very easy. So, lesson learned. Without the split ring, this installs fairly easily, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes of fighting. Using the string and using a screwdriver like this to kind of pry and lift it up. Once you get it onto the front spline, you just push it on and it slides on, especially if you've got all that goop in there. So that front part is on. The back part has to be done. What I'm gonna do is finish this up, put my goop around here and connect up the two, raise this back up, and then I'll come back here and then clean up this gator over here. But yeah, the thing is, the lesson learned here is, with all my servicing every 12,000 miles, I'm going to be doing this job. And you put enough goop there, it won't get any rust. You just hold the shaft back as you drop the final drive down, and you're not going to pull the whole thing out. Because if this was seized onto that, like what happened last time, then you've got to take this whole thing off to go and pull it out, because you can't break that once it's seized on. But if you keep lubing that and checking it every 12,000 miles, you're not going to get any rust. And my case proved it. There was no rust there. It came apart easy. As long as you've got this this yoke here in the right orientation, and hold it back with minimum force, it'll drop right down, and then you can pull out your shaft. So you don't need that split ring. Now I've got to give some attention to this bolt here, do some cleanup, and then apply my Loctite. It looks like the Loctite red stuff. That's why it was so hard to come off. Let me get it cleaned up. So the power lever bolt is back in place. Fixed 56 Newton meters torque. Put some fresh Loctite on it and cleaned it up, put it back in, seated this nicely, put that silicone dielectric grease, waterproof, on there, so it's all nice and snug again, just as good as before. Refill the final drive oil, torque this, the filler as well as the drain bolt with at 20 Newton meters, 180 milliliters of oil in there, and yeah, Then I'm going to clean my brake disc with brake disc cleaner because I've been touching it. And I give this a nice little polish here with my trusty old rag. That's my favorite rag. Got a little bit of grease on it, catches all the drips. And you wipe anything down with that and she's perfect. As for this guy, well, I must admit defeat. I couldn't put my dielectric grease all the way around, so I put it around as far as I could, and then I pushed it in. What you've got to do is push it in from the back end first, and then just start feeding it around here and clipping it in place. But that's all back in place there. And I'm seeing it from underneath for the first time since pushing it in. I pushed it in by feel, so I'm gonna double check that, but that looks pretty good. It looks like it's all in place there, right? Yeah, it's all in place. So I just gotta go put back on the wheel now, and this part of the 60,000 mile service is done. I've still got to change the oil, the engine oil. That's trivial. I could change the spark plugs, but I'll take them out and have a look at them and see what they look like. And also I should check my valves as well. That'll be another day. I think I've had enough for today for now. But final thoughts on this final drive thing. It's a good idea to pull it every 12,000 miles. The clip in front, yeah, it's better for it to be off for when you're reinstalling the shaft. Yeah, I couldn't fight with it enough to get it back on, and I don't care. It works great without the clip on, and you know, as long as you're aware that you can hold back the shaft when you're pulling it out, when you're dropping the final drive, that's no problem. I think it's great. So that's it. Hopefully the video is of use to you, and you know, I think this is one of the things on these water-cooled boxes you might want to keep an eye on, doing the final drive spline lube, and also lubing the front spline and inspecting that drive shaft. You want to make sure that you get that done every so often before it fails. This bike has got 60,000 miles on it, and I'll be doing it every 12,000 miles. So, yeah.